Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wicked West Coast podcast. I'm Travis, and with me today I have Jacob. On this episode, we talk about Star Wars, brain rot and its relationship with theaters, and we talk a bit about short form content. But before that, I have a question. What's your favorite movie, Jacob?
My favorite movie is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
And why is that?
It's well, it's just the best film ever made. I mean, it's like perfectly paced. It's 3 hours long. It feels like two and a half. I mean, it's got some of the most memorable scenes in any film ever. It's got the coolest characters in any film ever. Uh, yeah, I would just turn it on at any point, and I'll be entertained by it. I think I could watch it over and over and over again and never be bored. I mean, it's got the best music of any movie ever made. Got some of the best direction ever. It's just a perfectly made film. There's not a single flaw with it, except for maybe there's one scene where a character survives by like pure luck, which I think it would have been cooler. I always like it when a character survives by using skill instead of being saved by circumstance. But other than that, it's like basically just a perfect film.
Okay. I've never
It's the
seen it.
closest that anything has ever come to being perfect.
I've never seen, uh, I don't think I've seen any of those movies, like any of the, what is it, the Dollar Trilogy or whatever? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called? I don't think
they
I've seen,
get
I've
better
not
as they
seen,
go along.
I've only seen like the standoff at the end of The Good,
Yeah,
the Bad, and the Ugly, and that's it. Um,
yeah, and that
okay.
works so well because there's like 3 hours of build up to it first off, and then the way the music is structured is that it builds and builds and builds and builds, and then it reaches a breaking point where it cuts and then goes for a long shot, and then it builds up a second time. So you get all the suspense of the film building up to this point, and then you get all the suspense of the scene, and then it breaks, and then it builds a second time, even higher, even stronger. You know?
Yeah, no, I get it. I might have to watch it at some point in full.
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen a lot of spaghetti westerns.
yeah, well,
That was a obsession I had when I was 16.
you're like the Western guy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You're like the only person I know who I could point at and be like, this is the guy to ask about the Westerns. This is the
Yeah.
man. Um,
I haven't seen very many from like the 90s and 80s, but
yeah.
I've seen a lot from before then.
Well, even like even your fucking student thesis film or is a Western basically
Yeah.
in execution. Um, what's this is an
Yeah,
interesting
people would
question.
think it's a western if they didn't know where it was set, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's got the vibe, right? Like
Yeah,
there's influence that's obvious in that. Um,
yeah.
this is an interesting question I think to ask just off the heels of the first question. What's your least favorite movie?
Well, I'm not the type of person who like sits through shitty movies, right? I did that when I was 16 because when I was 16, I was binge watching movies every day. I just don't really bother with it anymore. But if I had to pick a least favorite, it would probably be like Star Wars, the episode one, just because it's like there's no reason for a film with that budget to be this boring and this bad. Like every I can't I like it's not even the worst film I've ever seen. It's just it has no reason to be as bad as it is. And that's like to me that's worse.
Yeah, The Phantom Menace is very dry, I think is the best way to describe it. Um,
Yeah.
it's I have very vivid memories of being a kid and trying to watch like the Star Wars saga from start. So I'm like, oh, I gotta watch the first one first, right? Like wanting to
Yeah.
watch it in order because they're
Many such cases
yeah,
of this happening.
where it's I tried I think on 4 or 5 separate occasions to do it, but like because they're listed as episode 1 through 6, even though really most people would say just watch
Yeah.
four, well, just watch 4, 5, and 6 is what I feel like most people would say
Yeah.
to do.
It's
I
it,
was
it literally ruined
yeah,
Star Wars for
it's
hundreds upon hundreds of people
so
because
I'm
everyone's going to start with episode 1
yeah,
thinking
which is
that's where it starts.
what I did, and I think I shit you not, I think I fell asleep in the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And
It's
this is
terrible.
it's also important to note though is like I was young, like I was really young trying to do this. So like I'm like I don't know like 7 or 8 trying to watch Star
It's a
Wars,
kids movie though.
right?
Like
Yeah,
Star Wars is for children. It should be entertaining
I
to
th-
a kid.
I think I define it more as like a family movie than like a kids specific. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Um, I just remember trying on multiple occasions and just not being able to beat through the first like not even I'm not even out the first act of the first movie, and so which is I just never got to the rest.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean I know it. I've seen most of these movies in later years, but I don't know. This is
There's some
controversial.
cool ideas in it. Like
Yeah,
Palpatine, what's his
Palpatine,
Palpatine. He's
the Emperor. Yeah,
yeah, he's kind of a cool character.
yeah.
And the
Um,
idea of watching uh not Luke Skywalker, Anakin
Anakin.
Skywalker, watching the idea of watching his backstory is kind of cool,
Yeah,
even though it's not really
I think
executed
the
that well.
idea of the prequel is really interesting to see because we already know where Anakin ends up. So it's really interesting to
Yeah.
see the decline, right? Because
But
that's
it's
really what we're
also like
watching.
part of the appeal of the first Star Wars movie is like that part where he just mentions the Clone Wars in like a passing statement and then it's never mentioned ever again. That the Clone Wars did not need to be explored. It's 10 times better to just have this old man mention the Clone Wars and then have this twinkle of music play and then you see like the glimmer in his eyes and it's like, oh, what's the Clone Wars? And then it's never mentioned again. That's way better. That's a million times better.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I think ironically enough, I think the one piece of like prequel media that people love the most is the Clone Wars TV series that they made.
That's true, yeah.
Like I think I've never heard anyone speak poorly of it. I've only ever heard
Yeah.
good things about it, but I've not seen it. I just know that
Yeah.
I know that of like Star Wars sort of like I guess expanded media, it's
Well,
probably one
Clone
of
Wars
the
are mentioned in the prequels too, aren't they?
Clone Wars.
That's what
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
pretty
about.
isn't there like also like isn't the second movie called The Clone Wars or am I crazy?
Yeah, I can't remember. There's clones and I can't remember because they're so boring, but
What yeah, I just don't
now, with that
remember.
being said, I think I can't remember the names of any of the prequels, but the first one is easily the
It's
worst,
the Phantom
and the
Menace.
second one's better, and then the third one I think was the best, but
I think
I might have
the
it
third
slightly.
one's Revenge of the Sith, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know that the first one is like infinitely worse than the other ones, but
See, it's the
yeah.
most the most entertaining thing to the point where like it's the thing that is still in my head when I think about the first movie is just when Darth Maul gets cut in half and that's the end,
Yeah.
right? Um, but like I said, like these movies, I don't think I've really sat down and watched all of them in full. I know for a fact I've seen the entirety of the sequel trilogy, like start to finish, like in full the movies, whereas like I know everything that happens in the original trilogy. I would not be able to tell you if I've watched the movies. You know, like they're just so ingrained in pop culture that I think I know every single story beat without having seen them.
Yeah.
And it's vaguely the same is true of the prequels because with the prequels, I don't think I've seen all of them in full, but like I definitely know certain beats just through like the pop culture zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No,
yeah,
A New Hope is like that's a masterpiece,
yeah,
especially when it comes to the music.
hmm
There's that one scene that I always think of where Luke just like after his family has been killed and there's a two moons in the distance and he's just looking at the horizon and then you have this music slowly swelling and swelling and swelling. Like that's cinema right there. That's just a top 5 moments in all of cinema history.
absolute cinema. That's yeah. I mean, I believe it. Um, I don't know. It's crazy. Jacob? Well, no, I feel like we kind of already touched on this. Maybe not when we were recording, but we definitely mentioned this earlier. I think. Um, are you? Would you describe yourself as a Star Wars fan?
No,
No. Okay.
I haven't even like what's the new ones from 2016
Like the sequel
onwards?
trilogy. It's like that's like
I saw the
the
first one in the sequel trilogy when I was on a bus, and that's all I've ever
so
watched.
you saw the Force Awakens in arguably the
Yeah,
worst possible experience.
And it
Uh,
didn't really matter because
no,
I
it
knew
was
I would feel the same way
yeah.
about it no matter what.
Well, that's good that you didn't see the other ones. I'm not really a huge fan of
I
Star
wanna
Wars.
watch them just so I can, like, pay attention to all this bullshit people are talking about on
I
the internet.
yeah.
Because people act like Star Wars killed their family or something, you
Yeah.
know?
It is
People
fucking
care
crazy.
way too much about this shitty 80-year-old franchise.
It's more a product than anything else at this point. Um, I will say though, just to give like some opinion on the sequel trilogy, because we talked about the prequels and you talked about the originals there for a second. I'm the only one of us who has any real introspective on the sequel trilogy. It would seem. Um, I think The Force Awakens is fine. It's like a fine movie. From what I've heard, it's apparently just like a rehash of like I think A New Hope or something. It's just like a rehash of one of the earlier films.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I noticed.
in
It's
terms
one for
of
one the same
yeah,
movie.
in terms of like its structure and the way that it flows, it's basically just a rehash, which is I think fine for like the first movie of the sequel trilogy. That's like what like I don't know like
Yeah,
20 years after the fact or 30 or whatever the fuck like literally like decades after. Um, the so the Force Awakens for me was fine. I enjoyed it well enough as somebody who like loosely pays attention to Star Wars. Uh, The Last Jedi is a movie that catches so much fucking flack on the internet from infinite sources and angles. Like everybody shits on that movie. Everybody fucking hates it with like a burning passion. It seems. I really don't think it was that bad. You know, like in
people
hindsight.
hate it because there was, like, a Mary Sue
No, well,
character.
it's. I think
That's what I hear the most.
the Last
But I
Jedi
don't know how much of that is just people being
from
misogynistic.
what I remember of the Last Jedi hate was I think it came from the idea that I can't remember the director. I think it's the same guy who did like Knives Out. Was it like Ryan Johnson
It
or whatever
is,
the
yeah.
fuck?
It's
Whatever
Ryan
his name.
Johnson,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it was like there was this huge like emphasis on subverting expectation and the entire film of the Last Jedi basically does a bunch of shit that you wouldn't have expected
Yeah,
after the Force Awakens did a bunch of shit you did expect.
yeah.
And I
And that
think
pissed people
and
off, I
that
guess.
pissed everybody off. And I'm not saying it's a perfect movie by any means, nor am I necessarily agreeing with subverting every possible expectation. Um, but I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets because I think that it really did just like shake everything up in the middle, which is to me kind of what like the middle movie of a trilogy should do. You know, like it's kind of
Yeah,
supposed to like just fuck everything up. Like
yeah,
this is where we're because in like you think about the grand scheme of like a regular movie, it's like by the end of the second movie we should be at the low point, right? Like this is where we hit the second act low point type beat,
yeah,
right? Like we're like everything in the second movie is like building from the first one and then we hit like the crash point and then the third one brings us back around, right? um really, and that's I think that's true of most trilogies. um but um but then it's but you could easily take the third movie, the next movie after that one, and turn what you were given into something interesting, right? Like you could take the broken toy or whatever the fuck, however you want to describe this, and rework it and bring it back around into something interesting if you just sort of engaged with what it left you. But
yeah,
Rise of Skywalker is to me, and I think a lot of people would agree with this, very much feels like fuck J.J. Abrams, right? That's the guy. Because he directed The Force Awakens and then didn't do the second one and then came back and did the third one. And it feels like when he came back to do the third one, he said, "I don't like any of this," and then he just crammed another three movies into one movie.
yeah.
That's what it feels like happened. And to me, that's like the thing where it's like I feel like the sequel trilogy was salvageable until you got to the third one, and it was just a mess, right?
Yeah, there's a reason I haven't watched these films.
No, the third
I
one's
mean,
terrible. If you would turn the third one off, I feel. I think you would do
yeah,
that. I got to see it in the theater, which was like, you know, I mean, that was definitely a theater experience.
yeah.
That was,
No, I would definitely hate it. If it's like 3 movies crammed into one, like, that's the worst type of movie in
yeah,
my opinion.
there was just so much shit happening that I didn't feel like I truly understood what was going on. And then to top it off, the third movie ends with with Palpatine coming back, right? Like that's like the whole thing,
Oh damn, dude.
right? I'm not to spoil it.
Who
Sorry,
could have
spoilers.
thought that Disney would bring back a Star Wars
Sorry,
character
but well,
after
that's
everyone thought he was
because
dead?
the guy who's built up to be like or framed as like the enemy, like the big, like the new sort of Palpatine character in the Force Awakens and in the Last Jedi, they kill him at the end or somewhere in the middle of the Last Jedi, right? That's one of the the
Yeah,
subversions is they kill the guy who's obviously framed to be the new Palpatine, right? Or whatever, right? The new like supreme leader. They kill him off in the second movie. And that's like one of those things where I feel like that's where the third one comes in. Abrams is like, "What the fuck, man?" And then he has to reinsert a villain, right?
yeah,
But I think it would have been infinitely more interesting if we just like said, okay, well now we got to get rid of it. How do we conclude this in a fun, crazy way with all of the shit that just happened? Right? I almost would have preferred like a more what would have been like a more like honest or not honest, but like earnest approach to like working with the pile of shit you were given. Right? Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I feel like that would have been more interesting than cramming the three movies together and saying, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do my own thing now. I'm gonna bring it back around." Right? Or I'm gonna try to
yeah.
get my vision back on track because somebody messed up the mid bit. It just seems like the thing that you shouldn't do when the trilogy is bouncing between directors, right?
Yeah, that's another thing about these movies. Is like there's a reason why blockbuster movies have sucked for the past 20 years, right?
Yeah, why is that?
Because they're not a vision anymore. They're just a product.
Oh yeah,
The,
it's
the only good one that came out in the past 20 years was Dune 2,
what is it?
and I
Dune.
guess Dune as well.
I haven't
Dune
seen
2 was Dune 2 was the best movie I ever saw in a theater.
I haven't seen the Dune movies, so I can't speak to them. But I'm
If you've read the book, a lot of people who read the book didn't like it because it changed too
okay.
much. But
I
I'm
also
like,
didn't read the book, so I don't know.
apparently they had to get rid of a whole bunch of characters, but it's like you literally the second film only works because there's 3 hours of exposition before it,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Like the first movie, basically it's just exposition. Like it's like a 6 out of 10 movie, but it needs to exist because like it carries the weight of the second film, and then the second film is just like amazing. Like it's one of the craziest things ever.
I know nothing about Dune except for the fact that
It's
Lynch
about a
the
guy who has to ride sandworms to become space Jesus.
okay.
That's what Dune is about.
The only thing I know about it is that Lynch directed an adaptation at some point, right? That's all I know about Dune.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's his worst movie
yeah, I
apparently.
also haven't seen that either, but it looked crazy from like the one clip
Yeah,
I saw. I was like, "Holy shit, what the
he
hell is that?"
apparently got the vibe of the book better,
Okay,
but Dune 2 is just a better movie.
I can see that.
Dune 2 is also like insanely well shot. That's the thing about these blockbuster movies. It's like I don't really remember any of the shots. It's just CGI goo,
Yeah,
you know?
a lot of it's not
Whereas
memorable.
but Dune 2, amazing. Like it's beautiful.
I
And
would,
they used a lot of real locations as well. Like
yeah.
they were outside for most of it. And
In defense of
there's
the,
very little the CG that there is like pretty believable.
mhm.
And it's shot in a way. It's also shot on IMAX too. So seeing it in a theater, especially on the big massive theater screen that we had, like it was just a perfect viewing experience.
Okay. Um, in defense of that blockbuster comment from a second ago, I feel like the most memorable thing from like the blockbuster movies that have been coming out, cinematography, not really, not so much, not from what I can think. I can't think of
Yeah.
any shots really that like I would say like really are memorable to me that like I could like reference directly. I think a lot of it is probably more in the writing, but the writing is even kind of at a point where it. I'm not trying to give the writing praise, but like the most memorable thing from I think any Marvel movie is more writing oriented than it is anything else.
The
Um,
characters are what people like about Marvel films.
yeah,
That's about
but, but I
it.
guess what
Like
I'm saying is that like I like Tony Stark quips are like the most memorable thing from any Avengers film for me.
yeah.
Uh, like so I mean yeah I mean that just furthers your point.
I was gonna say earlier that Star Wars fans are just like the lamest people on the planet. Like,
Okay.
get a hobby that
Okay.
isn't
Do,
obsessing over
are you sure we want to like alienate
this
an
one piece of
entire?
media.
You sure we want to
I don't
alienate?
care. I wouldn't want them watching these videos.
Okay. All right. Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. I don't know if I'd call them the lamest people on the planet. I think it's a little crazy to care that much about it. But
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, I think I care a lot about things that people would probably think is stupid. So I don't know how much I can really blame them. Um,
There was a point in time where you watch a movie, you think it was good, you think it was bad, and then you just move on with your life, right? And then
mhm.
you watch some and they change your life. They're really good and they give you like a appreciation for cinema, and that's great. But then you still just move on with your life. Like at the end of the day, it's just a movie,
You just move on.
right?
Yeah.
But then the Star Wars fans are out here making 45-hour long videos, part one of seven, on a movie that they didn't like because of XYZ reason.
I think it's
And it's
interesting.
like, you're in it way too deep at that point.
I think it's interesting that they can't just be happy that they're still getting Star Wars media.
When you watch the announcements of a new Star Wars film, Red Letter Media said this. It's like watching a political rally. Like they'll announce a character is
That's
coming back, and everyone's like, "Whoa!" and they take
yeah.
out their lightsabers, and they're all like, you know, it's like watching a political rally. They
Yeah.
go nuts.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah. That's I don't remember them saying that, but that does sound like something they would say. Um I think it's really interesting to because most people that got a franchise, right? You get the trilogy, you get the movies, right? I think Star Wars fans are infinitely lucky to just have the prequels, let alone the sequels or any other show or movie that's come out since, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with being critical of like your favorite franchise or media or
Yeah.
whatever, but I just think it's really interesting that they can't just be happy that they're still getting Star Wars content. Because this shit could have been like the plug could have got pulled on this shit ages ago,
I mean, a lot of
right?
people would prefer
A lot
that.
of people would
If
prefer
my
that.
favorite franchise kept getting like terrible, shitty
Yeah.
films, I would
Well,
just
this is
stop
why
caring about it.
I'm glad that Back to the Future is my favorite because Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale are not going to let that shit fucking get remade or anything while they're alive, right? Like that's not
Yeah.
happening. So, like that
The
is a
creator of what was that comic about the tiger and the little
the
kid?
tiger and the kid.
Hobson,
Oh,
Hobson something.
fuck, I know it. Hobbs and Shaw. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's
Well,
not that. It's
the guy
no
who wrote
Calvin.
that,
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah,
Yes.
he said that whenever you say you have a comic, whenever that gets turned into a film, or if there's like plush toys made of it, or any other type of media that's spun off from it, or anything like that, he said it devalues the worth of the original one.
Hmm.
Because you created this. It's exactly how you wanted it to be, more or less. I mean, things had to be edited and things had to be changed around, but for the most part, it's one person's vision, and this is how I wanted it presented. And then when there's you hand it off to somebody else to make a plush toy out of it. He was very against that. He didn't want there to be any merch whatsoever because he thought that would devalue the original. And that's a little crazy.
I think that's a bit much.
But I can see where he's coming from because
Yeah.
with Star Wars, you had these original three films, then they made three more dog shit films that are episode one, two, and three. So most people are going to start from episode one, two, and
I
three and think
think I
Star
think
Wars sucks.
I think
And
adding
then
the
they have
episode
these
preference.
that was the worst idea they ever
Yeah,
had.
I think adding episode to the beginning of those movies and then numbering them was a bad decision,
Yeah.
right? Because
So like it does devalue the original a little. Like the original hopefully still exists. Not for Star Wars. They actually edited the originals
yeah
and made them
yeah
worse with CGI.
yeah
But as long as the original still exists, I think it's fine. But there is a point to be made when they just keep making new stuff and they keep like feeding you slop. It does take away what made the original one so special.
yeah. And I think Star Wars is a rare case where we just don't even have the like original, right? Like that just doesn't
Yeah.
really exist anymore. Um, I
That's
think
actually the best case example for what Buddy was talking about in Hobbs and Shaw,
the Hobbs and Shaw, Cal- um,
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes, but
That'd be a cool. Like, what if we would like do a parody of Calvin and Hobbes where
it's
it's
like Hobbs and
Hobbs and
Shaw.
Shaw? Yeah,
That'd be hilarious to have like
where it's a
Calvin,
terrible D movie
like
action film.
Jason Statham Calvin is the funniest idea. Also, I might have the names wrong. I don't know which one is Hobbs and Shaw,
The
but
little kid being Jason Statham and the
the
tiger
tiger
being
being The
Dwayne
Rock,
Johnson.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's an amazing visual to me. um, no, I think Star Wars might be the first like instance of like a thing that I think is probably more commonplace today with streaming. I'm not sure. I can't point to examples, but I feel like it's probably happened where it's like the idea of like swapping out the older version, like being able to update shit on the fly, right? I feel like have we
Yeah.
seen evidence of that happening in streaming? I feel like we have to have. Like things getting hot fixed or whatever.
Well, this happened before streaming.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about Star Wars, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's a thing
Oh,
that
yeah.
I'd expect to be happening more now than before.
Well, people say it happened with Sonic, but I feel like that was I
See,
feel like they made that up.
I'm of the opinion that was a marketing stunt, but I could be
Yeah.
wrong because apparently, like, it seems like the prevailing opinion by everybody is that it wasn't, and I think even the
Yeah.
studio has been like, no, we haven't. That wasn't the case, but
Apparently
it's
Cats had unfinished CGI,
I believe that 100%. Uh,
but they changed it when it came out on
yeah.
DVD.
The thing with Sonic that makes, and you'll agree with this, that makes me feel like it was a marketing stunt is how much time and effort has to go into actually like making the CGI character.
Yeah.
Like that's so many hours of work, and then it was like it. I can't remember. I might be wrong, but it felt like it was like maybe like not even like a week when they were like, "Oh yeah, we fixed it by the way," and it's like, "Huh?" It was you.
They delayed it by
Like,
2 months, I
did
think
they?
is what it was.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe
They
I'm
delayed it
wrong.
by a few months anyway, but
Well, I think
I think
no.
I might be wrong. I don't
No,
know.
see, well, it probably wasn't a marketing stunt actually, because I think there is evidence of like there are some shots where like it is still the old model, but it's like in shots where you can't tell, right? Like it's in like blurs and stuff. It's like it's not right. Someone correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, because I'm not sure, but I feel like I saw that in like a BTS video or something.
A $5
Um,
million fix turned Panoramix Pictures, not Panoramic, that's a movie studio in St. John's, Paramount Pictures Sonic into $1 billion franchise.
yeah,
So,
I think it's crazy that the initial design even got like greenlit,
yeah, I know.
because it's so far off the mark. And it's like a thing that people have been like complaining about like the other like 2D character comes to life sort of movies, right? Where like it just looks
They pushed the film's release back 3 months and then they spent around $5 million to fix it.
that's crazy. Good on them. Good on them.
So, no, I guess it's real.
Okay.
I guess that actually happened if they spent $5 million, but
No, I believe it. I believe it. I
if
feel
that was a marketing stunt, I feel like it would have gotten leaked.
probably.
I guess nobody
I
knows.
think either way it's like a crazy thing that happened. I think
Yeah.
marketing move or not, I think it's kind of crazy. But it was I think it's really neat that that's like one of like a major example that I can think of. It's probably the only example I can think of like a studio listening to fan outcry on a specific piece of like a specific
Yeah.
thing, and like it actually changed, because I feel like anytime people get pissed off like this, nothing changes, but for some
Or
reason
they learn to like it, like the Minecraft movie.
they just get
When
over
the
it.
trailer for that came out, everyone hated on it, and then slowly all the things that they hated were
it
making fun of it
I
for
think it
became the things that they liked.
I think it got ironic, and then it just got funny, like people just accepted the
People
absurdity.
hated it, and then the hate turned into irony. The irony turned into memes, and then people convinced themselves that it was actually a good movie when it was
I don't
it was an hour and 45-minute shitpost.
is that are the people who ironically are like it was
There
good.
are people who actually thought it was a good movie, which
They're
is
it's
that's
hard
insane.
it's hard to say, because I think it is like an interpretive thing, because Minecraft is a sandbox video game, so like it's really like how you make that a movie is a really interesting question, right? Because really you can argue that the Minecraft movie is a good Minecraft movie because it's kind of
Not
all over.
really.
It's kind of all over the place, right?
I wouldn't say it was.
Well, maybe not all over the place, but like it's very like whatever. Like it's kind of just like a bunch of shit, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just like here's all the Minecraft shit, and one could argue that that's actually like a good representation of like a
No,
good
it
why.
doesn't. It doesn't. It's not. There's no creativity in it. There's no feeling of you can do anything. You can build anything. There's not like there's loneliness in Minecraft. There's that weird atmosphere. That's all gone. Uh,
I feel like it probably
it,
comes
it
down to a
feels.
marketing.
I said this before. It feels like it has as much value as like a four-piece chicken nugget meal.
You could I think make the argument that it might come down to a marketing standpoint in some regard when you say like it's gotten rid of the loneliness thing because I think Minecraft has been trying to sort of rebrand anyway in that way for the last so many like years and like patching like pretty much since the Microsoft acquisition.
Yeah,
I would say it's been trying to be like less like the old sort of like lonely like paranoia
that's
that
yeah.
like you used to
It's
get,
gone.
right? Like in like beta versions of Minecraft where like it was empty still. Like you don't really have that anymore. And I think that
Yeah,
and that's like not bad. I think it's like a video game. I'd prefer it have some generated structures and stuff. But it somewhere it lost that vibe and I don't know where or how. Like
yeah.
it just
But
stopped
that
being
yeah.
scary.
I mean, yeah, but it is just like a shitpost film. Like they say, first we are going to mine, and then we are going to craft. Like that's the level of writing it's on. Like it's incredibly ironic. They don't take itself. There's no sincerity in it at all. There's a it wanted to be memed. I think that was their marketing.
Yeah.
That was their marketing plan.
Well,
Was let's just make this as stupid as possible.
that's the only way to get like
And
asses in seats anymore.
well, it's the Minecraft movie, so it would have made money anyway, either way. So
No, but it's like
I feel like they were just
it's
very lazy about it.
it's you got to make movies events to get people in the theaters these days. Like it has to
I think
be.
that was they didn't plan on the chicken jockey thing happening.
No, but it just lucked out
That
on
was
them.
unplanned.
I think it
That
lucked
looked
out.
out, yeah.
I think it lucked
But they
out, but
did
I
plan on
think
it being ironic. They did plan on people making memes
I
about it.
think that the way that movies work nowadays is like in order to get people in theaters, like en masse, it needs to feel like a big community event, and that's ultimately what the Minecraft movie turned
Yeah.
into. Was I think a lot of people went to the theater just to shout words in
That's
unison.
all I went for. I would have
That's
never watched it if it wasn't for chicken jockey.
that's what I'm saying, right? It's like I feel like a lot of people went just to be a part of that. They wanted to
Yeah.
be a member, like a part of that cultural event, right? I think some people went a little too
Yeah.
far with it. I think anybody who was like just making a mess of the theater for fun is an asshole. But right, like you,
Bringing in live
yeah,
chickens.
anyone who was doing that is a kind of an asshole. Okay, number one, how the fuck did you get a chicken in there? Um, but I think it's just like the people who were like throwing drinks around and like tossing popcorn like as high as they
Yeah.
could. Like they're just unless like the whole theater is packed with people you know, and you are going to assist the underpaid worker in cleaning the place. Don't do it, right? Unless you're gonna chip in at the end, because I'm gonna keep it a buck. If I was working the theaters during the Minecraft release weekend, I'm probably quitting. Like that, like that's
I like
not.
to think about like the single mom who brought their kids to see the Minecraft
Oh
movie.
my
Has
god.
no idea what a meme even is. You know, all
That's
she uses is Facebook, and she
yeah.
walks in. There's like 30-year-old men to the right of her, and
See,
then there's like 50 teenagers in every other seat.
and I guess that's like
That's a
a really
terrible combo. It's a
that-
man, child, and teenagers.
that's a really funny idea. But I think to go into like what I was saying just now, but like you need event movies to get people into the theater. Just to double
Yeah,
down on what you were describing, I'm thinking about the Minions movie when like teenage like dudes like teens and like early 20 people like people in their early 20s were like dressing in fucking suits and going to the Minions movie.
yeah. That
Like
was the there's a predecessor to the
yeah,
Minecraft
that's what I'm
movie.
saying. When that movie was stupid or like everybody thought the Minions were dumb. right? I remember everybody making
Yeah,
fun of the Minions, and then like ironically, everybody like dressed up in suits for the movie, and everybody went. And
yeah.
I think that that's kind of what I'm getting at, where it's like and the same thing with Barbenheimer too, right? Like that was a big
Well,
thing.
the difference there is that
Um,
people actually wanted to see Barbie and
yeah, that's
Oppenheimer.
true. That's correct.
People maybe cared about Oppenheimer a little bit more, but they were
I
still
don't know.
both movies that
I
people wanted to see,
I might be
right?
an outlier because I saw Barbie in the theater, but I didn't see Oppenheimer until I was on like a 5 hour flight. So,
Yeah, but still, the
uh,
point is that
yeah,
those were films that people actually cared about. I think no, like I didn't care about Minecraft. A lot of people didn't
no,
care. They went just for the irony of it.
no.
They went
You
because,
you went when you
haha, this is
realized there was a cultural
stupid.
impact to it. That's when people went. Not cultural impact, but you went when you realized there was gonna be more going on,
Yeah,
right? You went
but
when
it
you
wasn't.
realized that was
Nobody
happening.
went because they enjoyed the movie,
Yeah,
and that's because that's something I kind of fear. Because I don't want to live in a world where it's like all the films we get are just these ironic, lazy attempts at a meme.
I think
You
it's
know,
the natural conclusion to the studio system as is currently.
and this shitty culture we live in,
No,
this
well,
fast-paced
culture is part
online.
of it. Yeah, but that's all by design anyway. That's all like that's
Yeah.
literally like it's the end conclusion. Um,
It's sad that, like, you think about what kids have today compared to what they had in the 90s. Like,
yeah.
kids in the 90s, they were well off. They had Jurassic Park. They had, Back to the Future, I guess, wasn't a kids movie, but
Uh,
still.
not really the '90s either. It's the '80s, but I think the third one might have been in the '90s. I can't remember.
They had E.T., or is it the 80s? I
E.T.
don't
I
even
don't
think
know.
about the 80s, but either way,
Regardless,
90s and the
the
80s,
movies
they
were
had,
there.
like,
The movies
way
were
better
there.
movies. They had way better. Like Jurassic Park is better than any movie that came out for kids in the past 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And I know Jurassic Park, when I say kids, like kids went to see Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Like that movie was people's childhood, even though it's not a children's movie, obviously. There's people being torn apart in it.
Mhm.
But like that solos anything that you can name that comes out today because it's all so corporate and I think it's only
It's
going to get worse after the Minecraft
oh
movie.
no, I think AI is also not going to help.
Yeah.
It is like I said. I think it's just the natural conclusion because the companies like or the studios only give a shit about the profit margin. I think at the end of the day, right? You have some studios that care about like smaller creative led. Probably like A24. I think is probably like the best example of that of like actually giving a shit about the project, right? Um,
Yeah.
and trying to get things made that are new, interesting, sort of experimental. Um, but like big studios are just trying to get products made, right? They're trying to get asses in seats.
Yeah.
So stuff like the Minecraft movie, it's like they're gonna try to replicate this stuff. I think more and more. So like when like Minions happened, Suits, like the irony of it got people in the theaters. Minecraft got people in the theaters. Barbenheimer got people in the theaters, but that was kind of like a fluke sort of thing too, where it's like they just ended up putting that on the same release weekend, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I think you're gonna see, and it'll probably fail because it usually does the second the studio tries to like rig this stuff up.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
but I think we're gonna see like an attempt at more of this because it's the thing that gets people to go back. Um, but I think like the ironic like everybody going to see it for I guess like brain rot culture is probably going to be the thing that leads us forward, at least like on a cinema level, which is really annoying because like as much as I want to keep the theater around, I think it's going to be really lame if the only thing playing in theaters is like brain rot garbage to get asses in seats,
I know.
right?
I looked it up. Like these are films from the 90s that kids would have had. They had The Lion King, like one of the best Disney films ever made. Toy Story, the start of Pixar. They had Aladdin and Mulan, Beauty and the Beast. Pretty
That's
much all
crazy.
the like the Disney Renaissance was happening back then. They had the
Well, this isn't
what's
even
still to
this
many
isn't
people the best Disney movies.
that's not even the beginning of the
Uh,
Renaissance either, because you're only talking about like Aladdin and stuff. Like there was stuff before that, so like it's like still
oh yeah,
going.
I
Like
guess so.
that we're in like the middle of the Renaissance still. I think at that
I
point.
didn't know that. I thought it started in the 90s. But
Oh,
anyway, the
maybe I'm
point
wrong.
is
Maybe
like
I'm wrong about the timeline. But I'm just
the
saying
point
that
is they
there's
had the greatest Disney animated films that pretty much still have ever happened. They had Home Alone came out. Jumanji, not really like an amazing
That's a good
movie, but
movie. Fuck you, eat my ass. That's a good movie.
uh,
Big fan.
Mighty Ducks. I
That's
haven't seen Mighty Ducks, but
I haven't seen it. I'm not
then you
interested.
think about like today, there's some good Pixar films still coming out, like Soul.
I'm
But then
so
it's like
indifferent to Soul, but anyway, I think conceptually it's a
I don't. As a
really
kid, I would not care about
I
Soul,
no, I think Soul
right?
conceptually is like a really great.
That's for the older
I
kids.
thought Soul was like a really good idea, and the trailer like really I was really excited for it. And then you got it, and you remembered it
Yeah.
was a kids movie, and you're like, shit.
And then I guess we had the Puss in Boots movie came out. There's some good ones, but like in the 90s, it was just banger after banger after banger. And now it's like, kids get the Minecraft movie, which is you take them to McDonald's, they'll have the same
I
experience.
think it's just because we've been so wired in for so long. Like the last like 20 years has been like everybody's been glued to a screen,
Yeah.
right? Which is like I think that's part of the problem, right? It's like it's interesting we've hit a point where like I think like at one point I think people would sort of like question YouTube's validity as consumptive media and how it's affecting us, right? But now I look at YouTube videos, I'm like, damn, that's the long form content, bro. Like, like YouTube videos are not the enemy anymore. Like the enemy is TikTok and shorts. Like short form content consumption feels like
Yeah.
the enemy because it's so easy to consume, right? And so easy to absorb and just like quick to go through it. And it's basically, I think we currently suffer from a problem of overstimulation, right? I think it's just like everybody's so used to getting things
I've seen
fast.
someone mention about streaming where like Taxi Driver, if that was on streaming, I mean it is now,
It
but
is, yeah.
a lot of people won't make it past the first 30 minutes. Not even because it's boring, but they might just like be upset by it. I mean, some people would find it boring, but if you went to a cinema, the guy I was listening to talking about, he said he got up and he walked out of his seat and he was going to leave, but then he just stood there watching it for the rest of the movie, and then he eventually sat back down. And he said that there were other people getting up who were going to leave but never. And the thing with the cinema, even if it's kind of boring, you'll probably sit through it because you paid the money, you went all the way out here, and you're going to sit down and you're going to watch it,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
You but with streaming, a lot of times it's they gotta explain the plot over and over and over again. They got to constantly remind you who the characters are because there's people on their phones. They're not really paying attention to it.
I think the issue with
Or so
streaming,
they say. I can't even think of an example of
no,
this, but that's what I've heard
I
people
I
say.
get what you're saying.
And like if you want to watch an older movie, you got to sit down and watch it all. You can't pause it to get up and go get a drink. Well, I mean you can, but you got to be aware that these were designed for people who
Yeah.
are going to be patient.
Well,
They're going to give them 2 hours of their time,
that was like
you
the
know?
worst part about because I went on like a Tarantino sort of binge one time, and because there was a bunch of Tarantino films I hadn't seen, and so I just kind of was like, I'm gonna watch them all. Screw it, why not? And when I got to the Hateful Eight, uh, for some reason, everything decided to happen at once, and I had to actively. I basically watched the movie in 30-minute segments without meaning to,
Oh,
because like it was like every like 20 minutes I got called out of the room. Like I had to go do something or whatever, and because it's like I'm watching at home, it's like well I'm gonna pause it and go handle this, right?
yeah.
But it's like
To be
it
fair, Hateful Eight is probably not that bad to
no,
try to
but
have
like
a movie.
it just pissed me off because I was like fuck, I was like man, like
Yeah.
it's like it just was like it was just so
Three
inconvenient
hour
because
movie became like 7 hours.
yeah, and it's also
Right.
like just one of those things for like me where it's like I'd much rather just like if I'm gonna lock in and watch a movie when I make that decision, I do just watch it, right? Like I don't multitask when watching a movie. I just watch the movie,
Yeah.
right? So it's like it was just really annoying to have to part away from it because I feel like it did undermine my experience a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
just because it's also like Tarantino's a very like old kind of director in that way, where I feel like Tarantino is the type of guy who'd be like, it's made as intended. You are to watch it in this way, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like it felt wrong to have to watch it that way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel that way too.
right? And I was gonna make a point a second ago about you were talking about having to restate the plot and stuff in streaming. And I feel like the issue with
Yeah,
streaming is that when you watch things at home, it is a very different environment than watching them at a theater. Because, like you said, you go to the
yeah,
theater, you pay to be there, you basically lock yourself in because you're not going to leave. You just spent like $20 and you're in like the perfect setting to just consume a movie or watch it
yeah,
or analyze or whatever you're doing.
yeah.
But like when you're
That's why it's
home,
so annoying when people are on their phones to the
yeah.
theater.
But like just think about the fact that like the way consuming media at home has been shaped over the last like 10 or 15
Yeah.
years.
It's
Because
just back to back to back to back to back, and
but
that's why
because
nobody reads anymore.
when it was just TV, it was like that's kind of fine. We can handle that, right? Because TV is just like smaller sort of like movie type things, right? But at home,
Yeah,
people are more accustomed to doing other things while this is happening behind them, right?
yeah,
So it becomes that way where nobody you're not paying attention as much, right? So that's why like game shows and like reality TV works because you just jump in and it doesn't matter where you are, right? You can kind of
yeah,
you pick it up wherever you are and it works. But it's same thing with sitcoms, right? You can just pick an episode wherever and it's kind of like it follows the status quo. The beginning and end of the episode are pretty much the same always. Uh you can just kind of follow it. But with the the rise of like YouTube, all of a sudden the way we consume media at home became even different because now it's not just TV, now it's YouTube videos where it's not traditional media anymore. Now we're consuming a different type of thing in a different way,
yeah,
right? And it kind of took the place, I think, for a lot of people of like the TV in the background. So now it's like we've become accustomed to a different kind of content when we're at home, so we're not as likely to watch a movie or a TV show anymore. Now we're gonna listen to a guy on the internet talk for like 20 minutes at a time. No shade to
yeah.
anybody watching this, but like,
It
but
has its
that's
place. I mean,
yeah,
background noise is
it
important.
it absolutely has its place. But then also to just push that even further, then it goes on the rise of being YouTube, which is like people making like 10-minute videos like of whatever they want to make, which is like a really interesting thing, and I think sort of freed independent video and film people. But now it's like you have like TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. So now you have people making bite-sized content, which once again even like goes to reform and shape how we consume stuff at
Yeah.
home, stuff outside of the
I think
theater.
what happens is when there's loads of background noise, people begin, it clouds your brain. I mean, if it's all if everything is like 30 seconds long, I've seen people sit down and just like scroll while they were on a ferry uh for like the entire duration. Like it was like an hour long boat ride. And it's like, I mean, how could I don't know how you could do that for like a whole
No,
hour,
it's very
right?
easy. It's very easy. It's happened to me. I've gotten caught in Instagram Reels for like 2 hours before, and
Damn.
it's scary because it's
I do it,
so
but I'll also be like getting up and go. I'll at least like open up other apps as well.
yeah.
Like I'll switch between YouTube and then something else and then
That's
something else,
I don't do that.
as opposed to just
I can get stuck on Reels forever, or not forever, but for like hours at a time, and like it pisses me off because. But I think the issue is like it's so short, right? Like it's almost like the shorter the video is, or the shorter the piece of content is, the more likely you are to sit there for longer than you would normally, right?
I guess so, yeah.
No, because you can consume so many
Yeah,
of
no,
them.
you're right.
You
Yeah.
get so many so fast, it doesn't feel like you're seeing a lot, and then you look and 2 hours have passed, right? Whereas if you
Yeah.
sit down and watch like an hour long podcast episode, you're like, all right, that was it. Okay, moving on. I got to go do something else now because it's been an hour, right? You can you can clock it better,
Yeah.
right? You can clock it better when it's longer, but when it's shorter, you get kind of lost in it. And I think that that's part of the issue, right? It's that overstimulation thing. It's where you can just eat so many so fast, right? It's like junk food, right?
Yeah.
It's what's the thing I've seen before. I think it might have been one of the Greens, like Hank or John or whatever, who said, what is it? It's like you're starved for information, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not like it's like half of selling like internet content I think comes down to information and what we
You do
know
know.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the short stuff, it's like there's some in there. It's like tidbits, but mostly like I feel like a lot of like slop and a lot of shit that you catch on reels is like reposted clips from TV shows that are cut down in ways that weren't intended to just keep you locked in. You know what I mean? Like you ever
I like
see
those sometimes though, because it'll
sometimes,
introduce me to a film I
yeah,
didn't know about.
but
I'll never watch it, but
I
I'll
just
put it
find
on my
it
watch list at least.
I just find it really interesting that like the idea that you're starved for information is like I would agree with that because I think that's part of the reason why I probably lean into watching YouTube videos as opposed to shorts, right? I'll spend hours and
Yeah,
hours watching YouTube videos because I feel like I'm learning something. Because like usually I'm watching something that is like relevant information, right? I watch a lot of like
yeah,
news related content, but also like weird internet lore stuff, right? Which is like maybe not like valuable information, but like it's still information. I feel right, or like if
yeah,
you or like I watch a lot of filmmaking content, right? Like that's also I think valuable information, and that's much more rewarding to watch. I'll be honest. Some of it's
yeah.
garbage, some of it is also garbage, but some of it is good. Um, but it's that point of shorts don't offer anything other than like numbing your brain, right? Like that's all it
Yeah.
does for you. And
I
it's
mean,
like
there's some use to it. Like, if I'm watching a recipe, that doesn't need to be any longer than 30 seconds. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, I think that
Get
comes
to the
down
point.
to that's like medium specific and like the type of thing you want to make
Yeah.
specific, right?
And it's
I would
crazy because there's also like I've seen clips that I've seen shorts that were like that still take forever to get to the point.
yeah. But I
Like,
would
it'll open up
say
and be like, "This man is unbelievable." And when you see this thing, you will not believe it because you you won't believe this unbelievable and like
well,
it's like, "Holy shit, dude. Get
I,
to the point."
I think that's because also
And
in
the
terms of
video is 5 seconds long and they stretch it out to 25 seconds.
well, I think it comes down to that with YouTube. YouTube values watch time over any other metric, I think, especially if you're trying to get paid. So it's like you do
Uh, I don't I don't think that's it. I think it's because people aren't paying attention to it. They need a robot voice to tell them what's happening before it even clicks and
it
they
might be a
say,
bit of
"Okay, I'll
both.
watch this."
It might be both. I don't know. I'm just saying that
If you just see the video, you'll just skim
I'm
past it. You need a
I'm
robot voice to explain what's going on.
there's a lot of metrics going into this is what I'm trying to say, right? There's a lot of things that to consider with this, right? You're
Yeah.
probably right. There probably is some amount of like, oh, I have to like you need the narration to keep people engaged. It is the video like shorts are meant to be incredibly overstimulating to keep you looking at it, right? Because the second you
Yeah.
lose interest, you're not watching anymore. But YouTube, what I'm saying, YouTube values watch time, so there's probably an incentive to make them
Yeah.
longer, right? To drag it out for as long as you can. Because the longer somebody watches, that's the more watch time you generate, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably part of it. And with a short, you can't really farm watch time the same way you could in like a YouTube video because like with something like this is like an hour long video. So it's like if 10 people watch that, that's 10 hours of watch time. But if 10 people watch a 30-second short, that's like 5 minutes. Not even. That's like there's no time in that, right? Um and that's what I'm saying. So I feel like that probably plays into it to some extent. Just to go back a second, because I had another thing I wanted to say about shorts and reels and stuff. So I think the other problem with them, right, and how you can get sucked into it for so long, and how I think it's like overstimulating and sort of like really affecting us, is that when you consider the way that the shorts are presented to you on these platforms versus like on YouTube, the long form stuff, it is it is harder to leave the reels or the shorts than it is to leave the long form videos. Um, and what I mean by that is like you literally just swipe up, you get a new one. You just keep going up,
Yeah.
right? You just
Yeah.
keep getting a new one. It is like an instant for you to get another one. They want you to be locked on it. Whereas like with like a long form video, it's like here's all the suggested on the side, and then you get some new suggested ones when it ends, like in front of you. But for the most part, it's not immediately presented. Like YouTube has autoplay, but that still has like a 10-second like timer on it before
We
it
could
autos.
compare it to television, honestly. Television was the start of all this. Because with television, you didn't scroll, but I mean, it was okay, you're gonna watch. No, it's like you watch this, and then the cable program will show you the next show. Then after that is the next show, and then after that is the next show, and then there might be like back in the day, there was like 4 other channels you could watch. But for the most part, it was just a stream of shows that were broken up into ads, so you can consider that to be short form content because it was shorter than a movie
Yeah,
because it was broken up into ads, right?
but it was a different kind of media, and it worked. It
There
found
were
its
people who were just like that's where the term brain rot comes from. People would just sit down and they'd stare at the TV and they just sit there forever, not doing anything. They
huh,
became couch potatoes.
yeah. I
So
feel
this observation about people just rotting their brains, I mean, that's existed since the 50s.
yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. TV now it's interesting. Now we're coming to like a defense of TV almost. It's like we've gotten rid of it, and now it's like
Oh no,
we're
I'm saying TV. Oh yeah, but I the TV is the same thing at the end of the day.
yeah, but I think it's like a
It's
better.
just a little, it's
It's a
harder to
little
get
better.
addicted to it.
It's a
It's a
better
little better, yeah.
no, because I
But
think I think fundamentally, and I've talked about this before, probably to you, probably not on the podcast, but it's the idea where it's like things used to be places you go and then you could leave, right?
yeah,
And what I mean by that is I mostly use it when I talk about the internet, but I think the same can be said about TV. Like the internet used to be a place. It was a home computer. And you would go to it, you would
yeah,
like play RuneScape for a couple hours or whatever, and then you would leave. And you weren't on the internet anymore. You were just gone. You were off completely. You as far as like we're concerned today, you were like completely off grid after that. Like
yeah.
you were not engaged. Whereas now it's like you have your phone in your pocket at all times, pretty much. Like you are a millisecond away from
Your phone is your whole life. Your whole life is on the internet.
yeah, you're a millisecond away from being on the internet. If you can play RuneScape on your phone now, like you're 2 seconds away from playing RuneScape, right? Like that's
It's deeper than that. Like
no, I know.
you there's no such thing as like, oh, I'm online. Like you
Yeah,
are on the internet at all times.
yeah. You're
Just having your phone on you.
there's
Like,
people actively trying to fucking pry themselves away from it, not be on it. Like you know what I mean? Like it's the complete different. It's the complete opposite of where we were before, right? Because
yeah.
before it's like people wanted to go on the internet because it was like exciting and it was kind of cool and it was a little different and like it was kind of like just a unique place you could go. But then you left, right? Like it never lost its sort of uniqueness because you could just leave and you'd come back. Like you weren't on it all the time, right? So it was always like, oh,
Yeah.
I get to go play fucking RuneScape or Club Penguin or some shit for a couple hours and then you get to leave, right? Like it was interesting in that way. Whereas now it's like you're just always tapped in. It's like I feel like we're numb to the internet now. It's like we just don't. We're just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's a lot
and
less
it's
cool.
and it's also really interesting because I remember, sort of like the idea
I
of
would
like,
have loved to be alive in the 90s just to see like the old internet.
I remember a lot of like, and you might remember this too. I don't know because there's a bit of a gap between us, but it's not that big. I remember being told like being careful online, not posting anything, and all this sort of stuff. Like really like being aware that like you don't know where stuff is going to end up and stuff on the internet is permanent, right? Like a lot of that was beaten into me, like that
Yeah.
sort of like fear mongering almost. Well, I wouldn't even call
Yeah,
it
I knew that
mongering. I
too.
wouldn't call it mongering. I would call it like legitimate concerns, right? Like it was just like
Yeah.
it was a lot of like just be aware of what you're doing, right? And I find that really interesting in like juxtaposition to like now where it's like I feel like everybody puts their whole fucking life on the internet, right? Like it's like it's all
I don't
there,
know.
right? Like it's just
I
weird to
don't know
me.
if they do that or not. They do it on Facebook
Well,
and
yeah,
like social media.
but I find that
But
strange even because like it was like it's just weird to me. I don't know. I just find it strange that like that's where we are. It's like everybody puts everything online.
yeah,
And
that's
it's like
true.
before I feel like we were told not to do that, but then at some point we just did anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know if that was just me or like what the fuck
Well, I
happened.
mean, it's like, what's the risk of I'm not gonna
I
get
guess.
groomed at 21 years old.
I guess it still
You know,
depends on what
when you're a child, you don't know who you're talking to.
I
You
think it
might
still
be
just
47.
I think it still just depends on what you're putting up because I mean like it depends on like what you're doing and like how big you are, how many people are
Yeah.
look. I think the big thing for me that's a little concerning and worrying is like you don't know who's looking at it. Like there are privacy settings you can put on accounts, but some people don't fuck with that, right?
Yeah.
Like so it's like on Instagram, like I think most people's profiles are just public, so it's like anyone can see this, right? So it's like who's looking at it, right? I feel like there's kind of a concern in that to me. And then obviously you just make the account private. But I'm just saying, right? My greater point is more or less just like it's the way that we look at and use this sort of technology is like very different than I remember. Do you know what I mean?
People put stuff on Instagram because they want
No,
people
I
to see
know.
it,
I know, but
right?
that's my point though, is that that's like directly contradictive to like
Yeah.
what I remember being told in like the early days. Whereas like it just my point is it just feels like we forgot about that or like we just stopped caring, right? It's like one of the two. It's just like we just stopped doing that, and I find that to be
I
interesting.
think you don't have to be like as careful.
I think you just have to
Like
be
if it's
aware.
something, if I'm telling you something about myself that you would find out within like 30 seconds of meeting me in real life, it's really not that big of a deal. Like obviously I wouldn't tell you my IP address, but like if I said I was from Labrador, ultimately what harm is that going to do me?
Yeah, I
The
guess that's
chances of
fair.
me meeting somebody who even knows where Labrador is like very slim,
Well, I think that that's
right?
I think that that was the overall point. I think in before like it's like just be aware of what you're saying. Don't just say everything or say or just spout
Yeah.
any and every detail. Like don't do a Chris Chan information overload and tell everybody every detail about yourself. Like,
Don't reveal your
don't
search
do that.
history online.
Yeah, don't do any of that. But like just be conscious of what you're saying. I think is sort of the main takeaway.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, anything you want to say to close us out?
Not particularly.
No,
I
well,
think this was if this sounds unplanned to the one person who's listened to the entire
we
thing,
do. That's a guarantee. There's one guy who's gonna watch this.
this was unplanned because I didn't even know we were going to do this.
I opened with that. We opened with
I
this.
was held at gunpoint.
Not
the whole
true.
time.
Not true. Incorrect. It's not possible for me
True.
to put a gun at you.
It is
This
correct.
is not possible.